Alright, today we're talking about setting up the assault bike. Obviously, a lot of different shapes and sizes of people, really tall athletes, really short athletes, and honestly, this bike is kind of made for the average. So there's really only three things that you can adjust on here. One are the pegs of the feet, two are the actual, the stem height, and then also the slide of the seat. So those are the only things that you can actually change on this bike. Ideally, there'd be a whole bunch of things like handle height and crank leather length and a whole bunch of details, but obviously we don't have that, so there's no point in going over it. Right? I've had bike fittings done on my road bike, and it's way more in depth than it can be on here, which is good and bad. It makes it relatively simple on here, but it also kind of has some limitations as well. So first thing you want to do as you actually approach your bike is kind of shake it a little bit once you set it somewhere. You can see it's got some wobble. So all I'm going to do is spin one of these down really quickly until it actually grabs onto the ground and prevents that shake from happening. That way I get a good ground. The next thing I'm going to do is push a pedal so it's actually in line with this line right here. Alright, that's going to be the furthest point away from your body. And then you're going to get on right at that point, and you're actually going to put your heel on it. Or sorry, I'm actually going to go to the middle of the foot. That way it's right in line with where my ankle is. Alright? And then I'm going to just put my other foot right where it lands, hands right there, and right here, I should be the point where I'm about as far as I can go, where I can still reach it, but my hips aren't shifting. So right now, I got some more room. So this is too low for me. So I'm gonna, I could bend my leg here, so I'm gonna go up. Say I go up too high, I'm gonna come back here, right? And now as I go to reach, I can still get there, but I'm shifting a lot. If you look at my hips, they're like this, right? The one's sinking really far down. So I know that that is too high. So I find that middle ground, that's gonna be just right, all right? So we got that, and obviously this is just determined by your actual leg length, and that's the number one thing. We always prioritize the legs because that's where we get the most power from, right? So again, we'll actually put like sort of the mid ball of my foot on that pedal when I'm pedaling. Again, that should land me where I can keep a bent knee, but if I could, I can lock it out too, right? So it's kind of that sweet spot where if you, especially if you see like your quads blowing up, like my lungs aren't that tired, my butt isn't that tired, but my quads, like right in here, are just getting lit up. It's probably because that seat's just a notch too low, so bump it up a little bit. All right. In general, people tend to put their seat too low, as a whole, anytime they're biking. So if you can raise it up, that's usually helpful. All right. That's just kind of a general recommendation for beginners. As soon as you start to realize that you're really starting to reach or your hips are shifting, you've gone too far. Okay. So the next, we've got the actual length, and you just memorize each of these dimensions, and then you only have to do this once. Next is the actual seat slide. So I have it set up for myself right now where I'd want to be, and I'll leave it here for a second. So when I come put my pedal on my foot where I normally place it, if you look right now, you can see that basically the front of my kneecap, if I'm nice centered on the seat like I normally am, is right over the middle of my pedal. If I have a plumb line that goes straight down, it would go right kind of through the ball of my foot, through where I'm actually transferring the most power, right? So that's the ideal position. If I slide this seat too far forward, I now have the kneecap over my toes. I'm gonna be quad dominant, and that's gonna blow me up early. And if I'm too far back, I don't have access to my quads anymore. It's gonna feel really awkward. It's gonna feel like I'm reaching and kind of pedaling down like that. Again, not a great scenario there either, all right? In part, this is actually determined by your femur length more so than your actual total leg length, right? So this femur, depending on how long or short it is gonna depend how far my knee's actually forward when I'm on the seat. So this second part is really about femur length. So one, the foot, stem, the slide, those are the three things. Lastly, all right, when we're actually on here and going, it's just kind of an implication. You can't do anything to change it, but it's the amount of torso lean that you have. So we want to be able to maintain the exact same position for our torso without having to like lean into it each time, right? So a lot of people, they either try to get really upright and then they end up sliding forward, or they'll push over really far and then it creates this extreme angle at the hip, like they're trying to be like aerodynamic, but we're not going through space, so it doesn't matter, right? So there's definitely this sweet spot, and it's really about kind of posture and access to your diaphragm, your breathing, and kind of a place where you can use your chest and triceps to be able to push on the pedals most of the time, and when we're sprinting, also be able to pull on the pedals and really be able to kind of get some of your weight onto it, right? The other thing is, if we're too upright when we're actually on the bike, you'll notice I have a really hard time actually putting any power down if I'm leaning back here and trying to pedal, right? Or sorry, try to move my arms. As soon as if I had someone to do this, and I was like, go as fast as you can without using your arms, in order to start going fast, they have to lean forward. So that's exactly where you want to be right there. And that's your sustainable position for you to actually be in. Again, you'll kind of get a little bit more height and a little bit more aggressive, again, depending on your actual size. All right, so a really big dude, when they start to pedal, you're going to see that they're way up here, so they're kind of down here when they're actually pedaling, moving their arms. And someone who's really short, they're up here, kind of doing one of those, and it's really inefficient. It's more efficient for the big dudes or gals, but it tends to be, obviously, that's more females are a little bit shorter. So, yeah, that's your introduction on the bike. 3 things: the feet, the stem, and the slide. Those are the only three things that you can actually adjust on this bike. Good luck. Let me know if you got any questions, and head over to ZOARfitness.com to check out more on the assault bike.